I never thought love could be born in the middle of blood, betrayal, and fear. The night I first saw him, my hands were trembling, my breath shaky, and my entire world collapsing around me. My father's debts had finally caught up with me, and I was dragged into the darkness of a world I had always avoided. The man who stood before me was not human in my eyes. He looked like something carved out of shadows, broad shoulders draped in an expensive suit, cold eyes that could silence a room, and lips curved into a cruel smirk. Everyone whispered his name like a curse. Adrian Valerio. The Mafia boss. And me? I was nothing. Just a delivery boy struggling to feed myself after my father vanished. But that night, I became his payment. When he looked at me, I expected rage, violence, maybe even death. But instead, his stare lingered. Too long, too intense. It was as if he saw something in me that he couldn't crush. Something he wanted to keep. I should kill you for your father's debt, he said, voice deep and merciless. But he tilted my chin up, forcing me to meet those terrifying eyes. There's something in you I can't destroy. That was the night I was pulled into his world. A world of guns, blood, and betrayal. A world where love itself felt like a crime. And yet, in that suffocating darkness, I realized something even more dangerous. I, the boy with nothing, had become the Mafia's greatest weakness. Part to the next morning. I woke up in a place that didn't belong to me. Velvet curtains, marble floors, a room so wide it could have swallowed the tiny apartment I once called home. For a moment, I thought I was dreaming until I saw the armed guards standing outside the locked glass doors. I wasn't free. I was a prisoner. When the door opened, the sound of polished shoes echoed across the marble floor. Adrian walked in, crisp black suit hugging his tall frame, his aura drowning out the light. My chest tightened. "You'll stay here," he said coldly. I opened my mouth to argue, to scream, to demand my freedom, but his sharp gaze cut me off before I could even try. "This isn't a request," he continued, voice steady as stone. "Your father's debt is gone, but you belong to me now. Until I say otherwise." I clenched my fist. "I'm not an object you can own." His lips curved into that dangerous half-smile, the kind that made my skin burn with both fear and something I didn't want to name. "Then prove to me you're more than that." That night, the house was alive with shadows. Men in suits whispered in corners, guns tucked beneath their jackets. I overheard words like shipment, betrayal, blood. Every second reminded me I wasn't in some rich man's mansion. I was in the heart of a war. And Adrian? He was its king. But kings fall too. And when his enemies tried to strike, I saw something terrifying. Adrian unshakable. Untouchable. Adrian looked at me as if I was the only thing that could break him. It wasn't love. Not yet. It was something raw, forbidden, and dangerous. And I hated myself for the way my heart pounded every time he looked at me. Because in a world built on blood, desire could be the deadliest weakness of all. As the first gunshot shattered the silence of the mansion, I froze. My hands trembled as screams and hurried footsteps filled the hallways. Before I could even think, the door to my room slammed open and one of Adrian's men stormed in. Eyes wide, "Stay down. They found us." I didn't know who they were, but the way the walls shook with gunfire told me. They weren't here to talk. I crawled under the table, heart pounding. When the door burst open again, and this time, it was him. Adrian. His presence swallowed the chaos. His gun gleamed in his hand, his black shirt stained with someone else's blood. And yet his expression was calm. Too calm, like death itself had chosen to obey him. He ordered his men, stepping closer. "He's mine." I stared at him, fear choking me. "What's happening?" He crouched down, his hand gripping my jaw to force my gaze up. Even as bullets rattled in the distance, his voice was steady, low, terrifyingly intimate. "This is what your father's world dragged you into. Rival gangs. Enemies who would tear you apart just to hurt me." His eyes burned into mine. "And I won't let them." Before I could reply, glass shattered, the window exploded inward, and masked men poured into the room. Everything blurred after that. The flash of steel, the smell of gunpowder, my scream. Adrian moved like a storm, his gun firing with lethal precision, his body shielding mine as if nothing else in the world mattered. In the middle of the chaos, he pressed me against the wall, his breath hot against my ear. "Stay behind me. If you run, they'll kill you. If you stay, you'll survive. Because I'll kill anyone who dares to touch you." And in that terrifying moment, when the world crumbled in fire and blood, a thought hit me like lightning. I wasn't his prisoner anymore. I was his weakness. The gunfire finally stopped. The mansion reeked of smoke and iron, the floor painted with streaks of blood. My body shook uncontrollably, every nerve screaming to run, but there was nowhere left to go. Adrian stood in the doorway, chest rising and falling, his black shirt clinging to him in sweat and crimson stains. For the first time, he didn't look like an untouchable king. He looked human, dangerous, broken, alive. "You're safe now," he said. His voice was rough, low, almost like a growl. "Safe?" My throat burned with bitter laughter. "Safe? People just tried to kill me because of you." My voice cracked. "Because of my father's sins. I'm trapped in this nightmare, your nightmare." His jaw tightened, but he didn't deny it. Instead, he walked closer, step by step, until I was pressed against the cold wall. His hand rose slowly, not to strike me, but to brush away the tear trailing down my cheek. I flinched. But his touch was gentle. Too gentle for a man who had just killed without hesitation. "You hate me," he murmured, eyes dark, unreadable. "But you're still alive because of me." My breath hitched. "Then why? Why do you keep me here? Why not let me go?" His gaze sharpened, like the weight of his empire was pressing behind his eyes. "Because," he whispered, voice breaking in a way I'd never imagined, "the moment I saw you, I knew. You were the one thing this world could take from me, and I don't lose what's mine." The words seared into me like fire, filling me with fear and something else I couldn't name. His hand lingered at my face, trembling just slightly. His control was slipping, and for a terrifying moment, I thought he might kiss me. My chest ached with confusion, with the pull I felt toward him despite the blood on his hands. But instead, he stepped back, his mask snapping into place again. "Rest, tomorrow. We deal with betrayal." And just like that, he left me alone in the silence, my heart beating in a way that scared me more than the gunshots ever could. Because I wasn't just afraid of Adrian Valerio anymore. I was afraid of myself and the way I was starting to feel for him. Asterisk. The next day, the mansion was quieter, but not calmer. The air itself felt sharp, laced with suspicion. Adrian's men moved like shadows, whispering about betrayal, about someone inside leaking information to the enemy. I tried to stay out of sight, but my thoughts kept circling back to his words from last night. "You're mine." The way his voice cracked when he said it, the way his eyes looked less like a monster's and more like a man's. I hated that I remembered. I hated that part of me wanted to believe him. That evening, Adrian summoned me to his study. The room was filled with smoke and tension. A man knelt on the floor before him, bloodied, bruised, begging for mercy. Adrian's gun rested lazily against his thigh. His voice was calm, terrifying. "You sold us out. Who paid you?" The man shook, mumbling excuses. And then Adrian's eyes flicked toward me. "Tell him," Adrian ordered, voice like steel. I froze. "Emmy, look at him," Adrian demanded, his hand gripping my shoulder tightly. "Look into the eyes of the man who nearly got you killed last night, who wanted you dead just to hurt me." My chest tightened as the man lifted his head, his swollen face, his trembling lips. And then the world shattered. It wasn't just anyone. It was Ethan. My childhood friend. The only person who had been by my side after my father disappeared. The boy who once swore he'd protect me, no matter what. "Why you?" My voice cracked, disbelief spilling out like broken glass. "Ethan, why?" His eyes flickered with shame, then bitterness. "Because you were always weak. You were nothing. And now you're." His gaze darted to Adrian, filled with venom. "Do you even know what he is? He'll destroy you. I was trying to save you. Save me," I shouted, my hands trembling. "By delivering me to people who wanted me dead." Adrian raised his gun, the barrel pressing against Ethan's forehead. "Betrayal has one price," he said coldly. "No," I screamed, grabbing his arm without thinking. "Don't kill him." For the first time, Adrian's eyes widened because I wasn't begging for my life. I was begging for someone else's. Someone who had betrayed me. The silence was suffocating. Ethan stared at me. Adrian stared at me. And I realized in that moment, my choices meant life or death in this world of blood. And Adrian was watching, as if the way I decided would either break him or bind him to me forever. Adrian's gun stayed frozen against Ethan's forehead. The room felt like it had stopped breathing. One wrong word, one wrong move, and blood would paint the floor again. "Why are you protecting him?" Adrian's voice was ice, sharp enough to cut me open. I gripped his arm tighter, desperate. "Because killing him won't fix what he did. It'll only prove you're exactly what he says you are, a monster." The words slipped out before I could stop them. And for the first time since I'd met him, Adrian's eyes flickered with something raw. Pain. Rage. Something deeper. He shoved me back against the wall, his body pinning mine, his face inches from mine. His voice was low, dangerous, trembling with fury. "You think I don't already know I'm a monster?" His hand slammed against the wall beside my head. "But don't you dare compare me to him. He betrayed you." His voice faltered just slightly. I'm the only one who's kept you alive. My chest heaved, my pulse racing. His closeness was suffocating, terrifying. And yet, beneath the fury, beneath the violence, I saw it again. That flicker of something he couldn't control whenever he looked at me. Adrian, I whispered, not knowing whether it was a plea or a curse for a heartbeat. The world went still. His hand brushed my jaw, not rough this time, but trembling like touching me was the only thing keeping him tethered to reality. His eyes dropped to my lips. I froze, torn between fear and a dangerous pull I didn't want to admit. My body screamed to push him away, but my heart betrayed me. And then he stopped. His forehead pressed against mine, his breath uneven, his control breaking apart. You don't understand, he whispered, voice breaking. You're not just a weakness. You're the only thing that makes me want to be more than this. The words hit me harder than the gunshots ever could. In that moment, I didn't know what terrified me more, the fact that Adrian Valerio, the untouchable Mafia king, had bared a piece of his soul to me, or the fact that a part of me wanted to believe him. Asterisk, the night after Ethan's betrayal should have been quiet, but quiet never lasted long in Adrian's world. I had just begun to drift into uneasy sleep when the lights went out. Darkness swallowed the mansion. Before I could even sit up, glass-shattered hands grabbed me, rough and merciless, dragging me from the bed. A cloth smothered my mouth, and the last thing I saw was a mask and cold eyes before everything went black. When I woke, I was tied to a chair in a warehouse that stank of gasoline and iron. The ropes bit into my skin, my wrist burning as I struggled. A man stepped out of the shadows, tall, scarred, his smile sharp as broken glass. You must be the boy, he sneered. The one Adrian Valerio can't shut up about. My blood ran cold. What do you want from me? He crouched low, his face close to mine. Nothing. You're just leverage. He thinks he's untouchable, but every king has a weakness. And you. His smile widened. You're his. Terror consumed me, but beneath it, a horrifying realization sank in. They were right. I was his weakness. The warehouse doors burst open with gunfire before I could even scream. Chaos exploded, men shouting, bullets tearing through the air. And then, through the smoke, he appeared. Adrian. His suit was torn, his face streaked with fury. Eyes burning like hell itself had been unleashed. He killed without hesitation, his rage so raw it shook me to my core. When the last man dropped, Adrian rushed to me, cutting the ropes with trembling hands. For once, his mask of control was gone. His hands cupped my face, his voice hoarse. If they had hurt you, his breath shook, I would have burned the whole city to the ground. I stared at him, heart breaking under the weight of his words. Adrian. His grip tightened, desperation leaking through every word. You'll never be safe while you're just mine in secret. They'll keep coming for you. His eyes locked onto mine, deadly serious. There's only one way to protect you now. My breath hitched. What do you mean? He leaned close, his voice a vow, a threat, a chain all at once. You'll marry me. The world spun. Fear, shock, disbelief collided in my chest. But the worst part, a part of me wondered if I was more afraid of the forced marriage, or of how much my heart wanted to say yes. Asterisk, the night after our marriage should have been silent. But silence doesn't exist in Adrian's world. Gunshots split the air before dawn. I woke up to the echo of screams outside the mansion walls. My heart raced as I stumbled from the bed, only to find Adrian already awake, shirtless, his gun loaded, his eyes burning with fire. They couldn't wait long, he muttered, sliding bullets into his weapon. Marriage or not, my enemies will never stop. I froze, my chest tightening. They're coming for you. His gaze snapped to me, sharp and possessive. No, they're coming for you. Because now, you're the crown they want to steal from me. The floor shook with the explosion of the front gates. Shouts filled the hallways. His men scrambled, but the enemy was relentless, flooding the mansion like wolves. Adrian grabbed my wrist and pulled me behind him, his voice rough but steady. Stay with me, no matter what happens. But as we ran through the corridors, a rival soldier burst out of the shadows, his blade aimed straight at me. For the first time, Adrian lost his composure. He roared, shooting the man point blank in the chest, then shoved me against the wall, his hands gripping my face as if to reassure himself I was still alive. I told you, he snarled, his voice breaking. They won't stop until you're gone or I am. The war raged around us. Rival gangs clashed with Adrian's men, blood soaking the marble floors. And through the chaos, I realized something terrifying. This wasn't just about Mafia power anymore. This was personal. Adrian's enemies weren't just trying to take his empire. They were trying to take me. And that night, as the mansion burned, I felt my hatred blur into something I couldn't name. I should have wanted to escape him. But all I could think was, what if he really did die for me? The thought shattered me. Because the boy who once wanted freedom now feared only one thing: losing the man who had caged his heart. Asterisk, the war ended with smoke, blood, and silence. I stood in the ruins of Adrian's mansion, my chest still heaving, when a mocking laugh echoed from the burning doorway. He walked in, the rival Mafia boss, dressed in black, his face scarred but his smile sharp enough to cut glass. Adrian, he drawled, stepping over the bodies. Still protecting your little weakness, I see. Adrian raised his gun instantly, placing himself in front of me like a shield. One more step, and I'll put a bullet through your skull. But the rival boss only chuckled. His eyes flicked to me cold, cruel, knowing. Tell me, does he know? Does your pretty little boy know why you really keep him alive? My stomach twisted. What is he talking about? I asked, my voice trembling. Adrian stiffened. His silence was louder than the gunfire that had just torn through the mansion. The rival boss smirked. He doesn't know. How typical of you. Adrian locking someone in a cage without telling them they're already bound by blood. My heart stopped. Blood. He stepped closer, ignoring Adrian's raised weapon. His words were knives, each one cutting deeper. Your father wasn't killed by some nameless rival. He was killed on Adrian's orders. The world tilted. My breath caught. No, that's not true. But the rival's grin widened. Why do you think he keeps you so close, boy? Why do you think he can't let you go? Guilt is a powerful chain, stronger than love. I looked at Adrian, my vision blurring with tears. His jaw clenched, his silence damning. Adrian. My voice cracked. Tell me it's not true. Tell me you didn't. He closed his eyes, lowering his gun, his voice breaking like glass. I did. The sound of my heart shattering drowned everything else. The rival boss's laughter filled the burning room, triumphant. There it is. The truth. He killed your father, and now he wants to own you as penance. What a tragic little romance. I stumbled back, away from Adrian's reach, my whole body trembling. The man who had saved me, kissed me, married me, was also the man who had destroyed my family. And in that moment, I couldn't decide what hurt more, his betrayal, or the fact that even then, my heart still beat for him. Asterisk, the firelight painted Adrian's face in shades of guilt and fury, but all I could feel was the hollow ache in my chest. You killed him. My voice broke, barely louder than a whisper. My father. You destroyed my family, and now you claim to love me. Adrian's hands clenched into fists. He didn't reach for me this time, didn't dare. Yes, he said finally, his voice hoarse. I killed him. But you don't know the whole story. Tears blurred my vision. What story could ever justify murder? The rival Mafia boss laughed, enjoying every crack in my voice. See, even your precious boy knows what you are, Adrian. A monster hiding behind a mask of obsession. Adrian's gun fired without hesitation straight into the rival's leg. He crumpled to the ground, cursing. But Adrian's eyes never left mine. I don't want your forgiveness, he said, his voice raw, shaking. I don't deserve it. But if you believe nothing else, believe this. I never wanted you to suffer. I never wanted you to know. His words cut through me like glass, because deep down, I could see the truth in his eyes. He wasn't lying. He did regret it. He did love me, and that was what made it worse. I turned away, my hands trembling. You don't get to decide what I know, Adrian. You don't get to play God with my life. For the first time since I'd met him, I saw fear in his expression. Real fear, not of bullets or enemies, but of me leaving him. Then what do you want? He asked quietly, his voice almost breaking. The answer tore at my throat. I want my father back. Silence swallowed the room. My tears burned as they fell, and Adrian closed his eyes, shoulders heavy with a weight that even his empire couldn't carry. The rival boss groaned on the floor, but his words still struck like knives. See, Adrian, you've built your own cage, and now, your pretty little weakness holds the key. And as I stood there, trembling between hatred and love, I realized something terrifying. The choice wasn't just mine anymore. It was a war between the boy I had been and the man Adrian wanted me to become. Asterisk, for days, I couldn't look at him. The mansion had been rebuilt in silence, guards stationed at every corner, the empire still bowing to Adrian's name. But between us there was nothing but a chasm. Every time he entered the room, my chest tightened. Every time his voice broke the air, I wanted to scream, to claw at him, to hate him enough to erase the way his touch still burned on my skin. At night, I lay awake, whispering to the darkness. He killed my father. He destroyed my family. I can't forgive him. I won't. And yet, when nightmares pulled me under, when I woke gasping, drenched in sweat, it was Adrian who appeared in the doorway, silent, uninvited. watching me with haunted eyes. Sometimes he stepped forward like he wanted to hold me. Other times, he vanished before I could blink, as if afraid his presence would break me further. The pull was unbearable. One night, I couldn't take it anymore. I confronted him in his office, where maps and bloodstained ledgers lay scattered across his desk. "You ruined my life," I spat, my voice trembling with rage. "You killed him. And still I can't tear myself away from you. Do you know how much I hate myself for that?" His eyes flickered, pain flashing across his hardened features. "You think I don't hate myself too?" he whispered. "Every time I see you, I'm reminded of the blood on my hands. But I can't let you go. Not because of guilt, not because of power, because losing you would finish me." I slammed my fist against his desk, tears streaking down my cheeks. "Then, maybe that's what you deserve." The silence cracked between us, thick with everything unsaid. His breath trembled as he stepped closer, until his forehead almost touched mine. "If revenge is what you want," he murmured, voice breaking, "then take it. Kill me. Right here. I won't stop you." My hand shook as he pressed his own gun into my palm, forcing the weight of it against me. His heart was steady beneath the barrel. "Do it," he whispered, "and me. But know this, whether I die by your hand or live by your mercy, I will still belong to you." The gun trembled in my grip. My tears blurred the world, and I realized with a hollow ache I couldn't pull the trigger. Not because he didn't deserve it, but because my heart was no longer mine to command. Astros, they came for me when Adrian wasn't looking. A black car, tinted windows, men in suits, polished but cruel. I should have screamed, should have resisted, but a part of me wanted to see where they'd take me. Because maybe they could give me what Adrian never would. Revenge. They blindfolded me, dragged me into an abandoned warehouse. The air smelled of rust, oil, and blood. And sitting there, on a steel chair in the shadows, was the rival Mafia boss, the one Adrian had shot but not killed. His leg was bandaged, his face twisted in pain, but his smile was razor sharp. "Welcome, son of the man Adrian slaughtered." The words cut deep. "You don't belong with him," he said, leaning forward. "You belong with us. With me. Adrian killed your blood. Why do you cling to him like some broken pet?" My fists clenched. "You don't understand." "Oh, I understand," he sneered. "You're torn. You hate him, but your heart is already his. Pathetic, but useful." He slid a gun across the table toward me, its cold weight gleaming under the dim light. "Kill him. For your father. For yourself. And I'll give you everything Adrian denies you: freedom, power, vengeance." I stared at the weapon, my breath shallow. "You think he loves you?" The rival pressed, his voice dripping venom. "No. You're nothing but a chain around his guilt. The moment you stop being useful, he'll discard you just like he discarded your father's life." My chest ached, torn open by his words. Deep down, a part of me feared he was right. But then I remembered Adrian's eyes, haunted, desperate, trembling when he pressed his gun into my hands. A man who wasn't afraid of bullets, but terrified of losing me. I pushed the gun back across the table, my voice shaking. "I can't." The rival's face darkened. "Can't, or won't." I swallowed hard. "Because if I kill him, I'll be killing myself too." His laughter was sharp, echoing against the walls. "Then you're weaker than I thought, and weakness in this world." His smile turned cruel. "Is death." The warehouse doors slammed open. Gunfire ripped through the air, and standing in the smoke was Adrian, rage burning in his eyes, death dripping from every step. "Touch him again," he growled, his gun raised, "and I'll paint these walls with your blood." And in that moment, I realized something terrifying. I wasn't Adrian's weakness anymore. He was mine. Astros, the warehouse burned behind us when Adrian pulled me into the car. His jaw was clenched, his hands bloodied, his silence heavier than the smoke trailing in the night sky. I wanted to ask why he came for me. I wanted to scream at him for making me his prisoner and his shield at the same time. But before I could speak, the car jolted to a stop. We were in ambush. We were betrayed. Gunfire erupted from inside the convoy. Adrian's own men turned their guns on us. The windows shattered, bullets tearing through steel and flesh. Adrian shoved me to the floor, covering my body with his own as he returned fire. But the look in his eyes wasn't just fury, it was heartbreak. They were mine. He growled through clenched teeth. "My men, my brothers, bought with my blood. And now," he shot another traitor through the windshield, glass raining over us. "They sell themselves to my enemies." We barely escaped, the car screeching into an alley, smoke trailing from its hood. Adrian dragged me into the shadows, blood dripping from a wound in his side. "Adrian." I panicked, pressing my hands against him. "You're hurt, forget me," he snapped, his breath sharp. "Don't you see? It's not just rivals anymore. It's my own family turning against me. My empire is rotting from the inside. His voice cracked on the last word, and I saw something I had never seen in him before. Not fury, not control, but despair. I grabbed his face, forcing him to look at me. Then why fight alone? Why keep pushing me away? If you want me to hate you, congratulations, I already do. But if you think I'll let you bleed out in some alley because you're too proud to ask for help, then you're even more of a fool than I thought. His eyes widened, shock flickering across them because for once, I wasn't trembling in fear. I was trembling in defiance. And then, his hand shaking, bloodstained cupped mine. Don't leave me, he whispered, voice breaking like glass. Everyone else has betrayed me. But if I lose you, his words faltered, but the weight of them settled in my chest. The boy who once hated his cage now found himself holding the only key Adrian trusted. And I didn't know if that made me his salvation or his final destruction. Asterisk, the night was painted in fire. Adrian's mansion, his empire, was surrounded. Rival gangs and his own traitors had joined forces, their guns aimed at the throne of a king on his knees. I stood by the window, staring at the sea of enemies outside, their torches glowing like demons in the dark. My chest tightened. This wasn't just a war for power anymore. It was a war for him. For us. Adrian loaded his gun with shaking hands, his body still weak from wounds he refused to treat. His men, those who remained loyal, gathered in silence, ready to die. When his eyes found me, they weren't the eyes of a mafia boss anymore. They were just Adrian, a man stripped of pride, holding only desperation. You should leave, he said softly. This fight isn't yours. I shook my head, anger boiling through my tears. You killed my father. You ruined my life. But you also saved me. Again and again, you put your body in front of bullets for me. You don't get to decide what's mine, Adrian. Not anymore. He froze, his lips parting, as if he wanted to say something, but the words were drowned by the roar of gunfire outside. The war began. The walls exploded with bullets, flames swallowing the marble halls. Men screamed, glass shattered, and blood painted the ground. Adrian fought like a demon, ruthless and unyielding. But there were too many of them. I picked up a gun. My hands trembled. My heart pounded. But when the first traitor stormed through the doorway, I pulled the trigger. He fell, my breath caught in my throat. But I didn't stop. Because this time I wasn't fighting for revenge. I was fighting for him. We fought side by side, back against back, until the final rival entered the hall, the scarred mafia boss, grinning through blood. This ends tonight, Adrian. Your empire, your boy, everything. His gun aimed straight at me. No. Adrian roared, throwing himself in front of me. The bullet tore through him. Time stopped. I caught him as he fell, his blood soaking my hands. His gun clattered to the floor. Adrian, no, stay with me, I begged, my tears falling onto his face. His hand, trembling, brushed against my cheek one last time. His eyes, those cold, terrifying eyes, were softer than I had ever seen them. I told you, you were my weakness, he whispered, but you were also the only thing that made me strong. His breath shuddered, his eyes closed, and in that moment, as the enemies fell silent around us, I realized the truth. Love had destroyed us, but it had also saved me. I screamed into the night, holding him against my chest, his blood searing into my skin. The mafia world would remember Adrian as a ruthless king, a monster feared by all. But I would remember him as the man who loved me so fiercely. It cost him everything. Asterisk, Adrian dies protecting the narrator, and the story closes with heartbreak, blood, and an unforgettable love that couldn't survive the mafia world.